I was thinking about today how it's quite safe to flow here where I am. It's safe to be a ping pong ball and just bounce around doing whatever, because whatever it is that I run into will be something safe and beautiful and of a harmless quality. And I was wondering if I take that same movement of this brain and nervous system out into society, that it doesn't really translate well, and one can run into fearful things and respond quite strongly, or want to retract quite strongly. And when one is moving around sort of randomly, one can start to accumulate a sense of unsafety and then feel like it's actually safer to retreat to the programs of thought and society and move around based on those. In a way, I feel like so-called psychosis is the fear of being alone outside the programs. So if there were more of us outside the programs, we wouldn't be alone outside the programs, and it wouldn't be so easy to get afraid. And I was thinking about awareness and how we need to be aware in order to make an art out of our life. We can't be unaware, because unawareness is defaulting to the programs. And beauty is our artful self. And I feel like I can see beauty in nature, and sometimes I have a hard time seeing it in humanity. But I remember being able to look at people and change people into their beautiful self, a self that I don't even feel they were aware was contained within their being. But I think looking with those kind of eyes changes people. And I wonder how to do that. I sort of had a sense of wondering about the possibilities of the human brain, because in that state of so-called mania, there was this in-touchness with those possibilities, but not really understanding how they worked. And it could actually be just the seeing possibilities and collapsing the wave function around that. But the trouble is, one eventually sees scary possibilities and sees one moving towards that, and it's scary, so one retreats. So moving between perceiving in problems and perceiving in possibility is a dance and a flux that maybe we have to get used to until the brain is more settled in that seeing of possibilities. Because when the brain is in that state, it's actually creating those possibilities that it sees, because we're usually seeing thoughts and a very limited reality based on that. So it's almost like the brain being comfortable with infinity. And can we glimpse people into wakefulness? And when we first get in touch with map consciousness, it feels like we're out of control, because it's faster processing. And thought tries to come in and resume control. And when it can't, then we see that we're not our thoughts, or there's a power beyond our thoughts. And I feel like the nerves have to release the sluggishness of the thought programs. And I talked before about random decontravisions. I made up this exercise thing where you stick weights, ankle weights and wrist weights on, and just sort of spin around and in a way bring space into the body. But I think map consciousness and so-called mania is a type of random decontravisions of the universe. The universe gives us synchronicity and all these different things, but they're actually deprogramming language and gestures to see that there's other forces at play and for the opportunity to play with them. And I sort of just saw that when one has access to all those powers, oftentimes it gets used for oneself. And when one comes back, one realizes that the point of power or extra energy is to give it to others. Because if only one person has power, then it's usually used as power over others. But it can be used as energy to share with others so they have it too. So the nervous system is learning to act faster. It's like the nerves want to act a certain speed, but then thoughts are getting in the way. It's almost like how elite athletes have mental blocks. Sometimes they're overthinking things and they're actually not playing as well as they can. Like they're really close to the championship point and they play really poorly in the last part because they're overthinking things. They're thinking about the result. They're not just playing, and this state is actually not about results or goals or anything like that at all. So as soon as one wants to use something for a result or a particular thing, then the power is gone. And then all of a sudden I came up with this crazy theory that thought is an illness that has infected the human nervous system. Consciousness is trying to heal us of this. It's trying to purge the programs and the thoughts. And map consciousness is a deprogramming language. And just as we wouldn't listen to two songs at the same time, why would we listen to our me voice and then we can't hear the universe? Me is the noise that prevents hearing the universe. And I wonder, why did our nervous system get infected with sound? I wonder if it's human perceptio deficiency virus. This sound, this inner sound, blocks our perception. And I was thinking about the term ESP, or extrasensory perception, and how in map consciousness we get in touch with quantum sensory perception, QSP. When I wrote that thing about being infected with sound viruses, I got freaked out because I had some premonition-like extrapolations from it. And then I realized that if we're infected by a language virus or a sound virus, then it's mainly a problem of how we use language or of how language uses us. But really, if this is what it's partially about, then it's hopeful. We've been taken over by the sound of our own voice. And when we see that, we can use our voice in creative ways and also to give voice to beauty. And that's not a goal. That's not something to do in the next 10 years or to attain. It's something that can be done now and can only be done now. There's no goal in beauty. We can't make beauty into a goal. And if we saw this beauty and spoke as that, we wouldn't think in terms of goals.